subscribe. It's Connor. It's Nick. Nick, you're Eric.
Nick.
Arlen.
Who's Nick?
Wow.
Who
thanks,
is
brain.
this Nick?
Who the
Nick,
fuck is
yeah.
Nick?
Nick's the new. Nick's our
Are you
intern.
cheating on us, Connor?
No,
People that we already know about?
Have I been usurped somehow? Has my body been taken over by the spirit of Nick?
Nick's the intern. Have you met him yet?
What?
No. No, I haven't.
What I meant to say was Connor, Eric, Hunter, and Arlen are here tonight for another. What is the show called now?
I don't know. I have no
Jesus
idea.
Christ.
I don't even pick anymore. I send it to a robot, and the robot does it. It's all very.
This is Movie Dumpster.
Is this? It's the movie Dark. I got it.
I'm your
It's
host,
movie
Joe.
It's the After Dumpster.
I'm Sean O'Rourke.
I'm Pissy Miles.
And Arlen and I are combined to form Joe Lascola.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No,
Neither
this
of you are
is-
Italian enough, I think.
No,
Well,
I'm
mathematically, it
everything
works out,
but
though.
Italian.
Boopity
Yeah.
boop.
I'm talking with my hands a lot.
Boopity
right
boop.
now. It's the Italian robot.
God.
Good job, Hunter.
Boopity boop.
Boopity boop. Where's the gabagool?
Talking with its clamps.
Boopity boop, I retire tungsten to live.
Leave the gun, take the cannolis. So we're talking about endings tonight. Good endings, bad endings, things that don't have endings, things that have double endings, and things that maybe should have ended sooner.
Yeah.
In
I think
Yeah.
various
Also,
ways.
endings. Yeah.
I think Game of Thrones should have ended first season.
we're just going right in, aren't we?
Wow. I mean, yeah. Let's go for the juggler then. I don't think I've seen a show in recent memory that has a final season so poor that nobody bothers to ever talk about that show anymore.
No, we've
And I
decided
don't think
not to.
anyone. And I don't think anyone watches it as like a rewatch or like a it's like I'll rewatch and see how it all is. I don't think anyone cares enough.
Yeah.
I thought about it and I was like, I'll get to that last couple seasons and I'll just get irrationally angry. I probably should not.
Mhm.
Yeah, because I think now the
Mhm.
benefit of rewatching it would be to see when things start to really crack.
Mhm.
Which I think is what season 5 is when they run out of book material.
Season 5 is when they run out of book material. I would say season 6 is the last watchable season.
It has the dumb Suicide Squad episode, right?
No, that's season 7, isn't it?
Is it? I don't know, but that's
Season 6 has John defeating the other bastard, and that's the last time I cared. Yeah.
Hey, remember
Yeah.
Clegan Bowl? Remember how hyped we were all for that?
Mhm.
Oh my god. Okay, well, if we're gonna talk about how poor the final season is, like it's just full of like anticlimaxes, characters forgetting their own motivations, characters all losing like 10 points in their intelligence stat. And yeah, just lots of like really dismissive, flat resolutions.
It's so bad. I can't even. I like you said, I cannot think of a show that shat the bed harder than Game of Thrones.
Dexter is the second closest, I think.
Yeah, but Dexter's coming back.
Could
Yes.
I introduce you to a little show called The Inhumans?
Oh, well, here's
Well,
the thing.
okay, that was an abomination from birth.
They
That
shat the
was-
bed immediately, dude.
I mean, if it was a person in Sparta, it would have been thrown over that cliff, and then they would have thrown hot coals down the cliff to make sure that it died. Okay.
I love that his name, or at least we haven't invoked his name yet, but he's responsible for the previous 2 mentioned failures.
Oh God, yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, he was the guy that brought into the end of Dexter.
Yeah.
He fucked that show hard.
Oh, the man who's
Yeah.
dead to me forever? Yes. That
Oh,
It's
like
almost
George
like he's
Lucas and a
shown a
Dewback
cons-
toy.
Oh,
Nobody's
God.
gonna get that joke because we're not explaining it.
Exactly.
We're not. I refuse.
Teach us show a lesson. Yeah, Dexter's coming back, which I guess actually counts as the double ending part of this whole conversation. And are they going to ignore the previous season, or are they going to build off of it? Because I just ignore it.
I thought
I
they
would-
said they were building off of it.
Yeah.
Ew.
I thought that's what
Maybe.
they said. I could be
mean-
wrong.
Ew.
Here's the thing. I think it would be a baller move to hire the woman who finished out Jessica Jones, who also worked at Dexter at various points. Because she's clearly the better writer of the 2 people who went on to do MCU shows. And just let her just like ignore the last 5 seasons. I think that's all the show basically. But hey, why not? Just do it all over. Take the thing that people really like, which I think is Anthony Michael Hall's. Is that his name, Anthony Michael Hall?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's
Keegan
yeah.
Michael Key.
I don't want to confuse him with the star of The Breakfast Club, but their names are similar enough.
What if they were the
that
same person?
I prefer to think of
shit.
him as a co-star of the movie Red Dawn. Thank you very much.
Oh shit, that was him, wasn't it?
Yeah, dude.
Fuck.
How ballsy would it be if the new season they just call it the new season 6? Dexter just wakes up, he's like, I had the weirdest dream.
It's
Like my sister died, I became a lumberjack, I told my son to go fuck off.
They pull
Yeah.
a full Dallas. They're just like,
he wakes up and realizes he was actually John Lithgow the whole time.
That'd be a better ending, honestly.
Well, wasn't John Lithgow? I've never watched Dexter.
John
so I can't-
Lithgow.
John Lithgow is a season 4 villain.
Yes.
Yeah, I knew he was in it. I just
He
wasn't
was
sure.
pretty good, if
yeah.
I recall correctly.
Yeah, well, it's John
He-
Lithgow.
Yeah, he rules as a villain. He's probably the show's best villain because he gets the biggest win against Dexter. But then I think season 4 is so good that anything after that is just kind of seen as a downgrade. Season 4 peaks really hard, and after that you're like, nah, okay.
Don't need any more of this.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. I would probably watch Dexter up to season 4 based on that.
Yeah.
It's so good.
See,
yeah.
I like Dexter a lot. That first 4
Mhm.
seasons, and like, I'm kind of interested in it coming back. It's like to
Yeah.
the point where I'm like, I just want to see if they fix it. Like, I don't know if they will,
hmm
but I have this morbid curiosity. It's not like
Yeah,
Game of
no.
Thrones where I'm like, I can put away my hurt.
Well, to be fair, even though I have no interest in rewatching Game of Thrones, and I would have a hard time strongly recommending, and I don't think I would get very much of a response suggesting people just watch the first 6 seasons of Game of Thrones. Like, I don't think I would get anybody on board with that,
No,
even if I tried
Hard
really
pass.
hard.
no, I'm good.
Yeah. But if they
At
do
this
a new
point-
show with different people who are not those guys,
in the inevitable Game of Thrones reboot, is what you're saying,
right, or the spin-off or whatever, I would probably watch it. I would give it a shot at least.
Yeah, I mean,
As-
I like
as-
Game.
yeah,
I like
here's
the
a-
source material. Like,
Yeah.
it's not. It's just
The
like
source material and world building is pretty solid. It's the story that really fell apart.
Yeah, and then making everyone to big old dummies. I think as long as you kept those D&D away from like a potential, spin-off or something, it would be fine.
Mhm.
Because those two are like admitted hacks. They're like, we didn't know what we were doing. We're not sure why he picked us.
Even aside from the hack thing, and I know people like to bring that up because sure, why not? It's fun to make some fun of somebody.
hilarious.
It's more that they should have just quit. There's
Mhm.
nothing
Yeah.
wrong with quitting.
Yeah.
Like, it's nice to be able to say, well, we finished it out. We wrote all 8 seasons. You know what? There's also some respect to be given for people who are like, we don't got it anymore. And there are people on our staff, people we work with every day, who are way better equipped to finish this out, especially if you give them as much time as they need. 'Cause
Or
it's very clear that the show should have gone to like 10 seasons, and I can't remember the name of the person I'm thinking of, but there's this guy who had been working since season 1 who was clearly the guy who should have taken over at some point because he still cared. He still gave a shit and wasn't thinking about doing a Star Wars movie. Which is
my alternative version of them quitting is yes, quit, but then make claims like the guy who was the showrunner of Pushing Daisies or the first season of American Gods. Just continue that, where every time you start something, it's amazing, and then well, there was studio interference, and I had to leave. Just pull that, and people will always want to hire you because they'll be like, well, it's so amazing what you've done. But actually, no, fuck those guys. They're terrible. They could both fucking fall in the pit, and I won't care.
One of them wrote
Yeah,
X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Oh, well, there we go. Okay, cool.
That's like
Here's the
that's
thing.
the
Oh,
big piece of evidence you just push forward. You're like, these guys
Oh.
are hacks. Watch this.
oh,
This is
that
not
answers
me
a lot
defending
of that
X-Men
answers a lot of problems.
Race.
Isn't it eye-opening when you think about that? You're like, oh yeah, whoever wrote that movie.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, that's
you know what?
I'm
Actually,
coming from a place where I've only seen the first 3 seasons of Game of Thrones, and I liked it,
Yeah.
and I kind of just fell off because
Mhm.
it part of me that I hate that comes out sometimes, but I just got so tired of hearing everybody talk about it all the time while I was trying to catch up, and I'm like, you know what? Fuck it,
Mhm.
I'm done. I don't
Yeah.
want to be part of this cultural zeitgeist. Eat my balls,
Yeah.
all of you. And that was the end of
Yeah,
it.
because you're 80.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly. I need to take my Metamucil, and I got to take 15 naps. So
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You also said all of this in slow motion, so people would walk away as
As the internet catches up with you.
oh yeah, it was like in a movie when you see time passing quickly, like the sun was
Mhm.
moving around me as I got half a paragraph out. Yeah. Yeah. You know, you could see the societies around me build up and die in wars, and it so eventually became that the beautiful people live below ground while the anyways.
Who here has discovered a show only to dive into it and realize that it was canceled and it's never coming back and it's all left unresolved?
I mean, for me,
that's
that's the thing. There aren't many that I do that because a lot of times I wait until a show is over, and if I find
Mhm.
out like, oh, it got canceled after a season, well, fuck that. But like American Gods was that for me. Like I was 100% in, and the way the first season ended, I was like, this is perfect. Like they're doing a great adaptation of the book.
Mhm.
And then the showrunner left, which I can't remember that guy's name. He's the guy, like I said, he's the guy who was the showrunner of Pushing Daisies, which apparently was very
Ryan
good.
Fuller, I want to say.
Yes, I believe that is correct. And this
Yeah.
seems to be his MO, is that he
He
does
does it
something.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does something great, and then he's like,
Mhm.
maybe not,
Yeah.
and walks off or claims studio
I'm
interference.
bored.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
I've heard nothing but mediocre to bad things about the second season of American Gods after the first season was so goddamn good. So I'm just like,
Yeah.
well, that show is effectively dead to me. It was great to see like a quarter of the book adapted. Awesome.
You know
And-
who I feel terrible for are people who tuned into Swamp Thing on CW and going, I can't wait to see what happens next.
Oh.
Well, yeah. Again, I we've talked about this before. I think that's going to end up becoming something in some way. I don't know how.
I don't think you go through the effort of putting it on TV
Mhm.
and advertising it all over again and kind of pushing it again if you aren't going to do anything with it.
The thing is, with the second season, you'll see them using the original Swamp Thing movie
Yeah.
outfit because
And
they can't afford to keep up with special effects.
And it will take
Also,
place
they will clearly be in
entirely.
Vancouver.
Honestly,
Yeah.
honestly, Constantine was like that for me, where I watched it and then I found out it wasn't coming back.
A second
Yeah.
season of Swamp Thing would not only have the original suit, but it would take place entirely on Herschel's farm from Walking Dead season 2.
Oh my god! Actually, make the show.
God.
I want
Yeah, it's
Herschel
fun when The
himself to be
Walking
there.
Dead ended after 4 seasons. That was great. That was
Yeah.
That was really
God, I wish. Okay, can we talk about that? I wish Walking Dead would just fucking end.
good. Yeah.
That show is now like, I don't even have a word for it. Like, exhausting maybe, but
Mhm.
like all these cast departures like have completely just neutered the show. And you're like, yeah, Norman Reedus is great, but is he Andrew Lincoln? Absolutely not.
Mhm.
And like, I
When
don't know,
the
it's just,
creator of the comic files a lawsuit against the studio that's producing and airing it, maybe you should think about ending the show.
Mhm.
but no, they tripled down.
There was
No,
a
they
point-
tripled down. They added new shows they could explicitly cut him out of and not pay him for.
Yep.
There was
Although
a point
using his branding and his title.
where
Ugh.
I any given Sunday during I can't remember what season it was.
That
but,
football movie?
No. Any given
Al
Sunday
Pacino?
during the season that had Negan in it, I would open up Facebook and my sister would post a huge spoiler on Facebook, like
Good.
absent-mindedly. And I was like, okay, I don't even watch the show, but this is so annoying. I wish it would stop.
Yeah, I'll say the Negan episodes when that show finally like after that, like that, I think that episode is fantastic. I think the tension and the event itself is fucking traumatizing. After that, it's like Dexter season 4. It's like that was so good, but that was probably the last thrust of energy the show has before it just eventually just whimpers to death for 4 more seasons.
Shits it out bed.
And I watched a little bit of Fear, and Fear the Walking Dead's kind of cool, but it eventually kind of just falls into more the same at times.
Mm-hmm.
And World Beyond looks like
Wait, what? Wait,
World,
there's a third Walking Dead.
oh my god, you didn't know about World Beyond?
Eric,
No.
is this their?
Oh,
This like the
my
Muppet
God.
Babies of Walking Dead.
So
You
it's
can kill
set,
me.
it's set years after the initial outbreak, and it's like this
Mhm.
this like dystopian, like kind of utilitarian factions kind of taking over the
You know,
country.
Just to make this quick, because I know Eric's gonna extra hate it after I say this. It's like that zombie movie. What was it? The one where it's like a love thing, where it's Romeo. and
Oh,
Juliet?
Warm Bodies.
Yes, it's very warm. It's very, very warm bodies.
Did Eric just die? What's
Eric is
Eric
infected.
exploded. He turned into.
Like, okay, I don't understand. Like, why make this?
Because
because
AMC needs money.
Because the show must go on.
AMC had The Walking Dead, Breaking Bad, Mad
Men.
Men. Like, why do they could just make a new show?
Better Call Saul.
People are going to watch their shit. It's not. I don't understand why
But
they need The
Hunter,
Walking Dead.
Spin-offs. You can't make a new show. That would be insane.
No, make a new show.
Yeah, you can't just make a new Killing Eve. What are you talking about?
Mhm.
Yeah, you can.
Well, even then, that one is one that they got like basically out of a deal. It was like it was on BBC America already.
Make a Streets of Rage show. Who gives a fuck?
Oh god, yeah, totally. Like, I don't.
But only
understand.
if it's based on part 3 with the kangaroo.
Yes.
Yes.
I want that kangaroo to have like a 10-episode arc where he like
Mhm.
discovers his son's gay and like he has stuff like fight.
Well, I was going to say I want it to be the kangaroo, and I think this was only in the Japanese version, but the very gay leather daddy.
Yes.
Was, and I want them to team up together and solve crimes.
Yes. Okay. Yep. It's got to be like what the fuck is that HBO show with the cops?
You need to be more specific.
Leather
but-
Daddy and Rue? I don't know. What are you talking about?
The one with the Yellow King or whatever it's called.
Oh,
A
True
True
Detective.
Detective.
True
I was
Detective.
like,
Oh,
which
so you
show
want
with
you
the
want them to
cops
be an
do you
old
mean? You want me to
kangaroo and an
list-
old leather daddy?
Yes.
You
And
know you're
Colin
describing
Farrell's
Detective
there.
Pikachu, right? You're just
Yes.
describing.
Actually, yes. I want Detective Pikachu in the style of True Detective.
So Detective Pikachu with existential dread on a regular
Yes.
basis. Got it.
Yeah,
Got
and
it.
Colin Farrell's there.
Jesus
Right,
And
Christ.
Vince Vaughn.
as he tends to be. You just find a random Colin Farrell in the middle of your film.
Yeah, he's there.
Yeah, it happens all the time.
What were we talking about?
I have no idea.
Walking Dead.
speaking
Oh
of-
yeah.
Walking
Okay,
Dead.
so that's World Beyond, and there's those movies coming out. And I listened to it just like a summary for, or read my brain tonight. A summary for one of their more recent episodes, and I was like, okay, so it's the same shit.
Right.
It's the
Mhm.
exact same
same
shit.
stuff.
And
Yeah.
So this third spin-off, which somehow I until tonight was completely blissfully unaware of.
I'm
so this-
shocked because we brought it up a lot. In
I've zoned out and obviously not known what you're talking about and just said
Eric's like me.
okay.
Whenever he hears The Walking Dead, he just spaces out.
Yeah, pretty much. So this is supposed to take place into the future, correct? Like,
Yes.
Yes.
but there are still zombies.
hmm
Yes.
I think it's that stage where people are rebuilding, but like you'll find a pack here and there. You'll find like a clearing full of zombies once a week or something. I think that's the implication that I got.
Wouldn't-
It's
I don't know. Wouldn't the idea be, if you're getting back to the point that you can rebuild, that one of the first things on the list should be wipe out all zombies?
Get
Just
rid of them.
Yeah, just an idea.
Right.
So
Yeah.
all right, cool.
No, I agree. Once you start to have a leg up, like Go
Yeah.
all in. Just
Yeah, exactly.
don't waste any time whatsoever.
In fact, drink, good drink.
I don't think those shows are ever going to actually go away.
They should.
So they probably
A
will not
lot.
ever have an ending.
No,
And also,
probably
like,
not.
what kind
And
of ending could
yeah.
you supply to the mainline show that would be in any way satisfying?
Well, being that they killed off the one character that could have actually wrapped it up in a nice little bow, because he was going to college, so they had to kill him off.
I
He
want
had the audacity to go.
I want
How
Andrew
dare he
Lincoln
have a
to wake up in
life?
a hospital bed and everything's normal.
I want him to wake up and he realizes he's Cillian Murphy and he's actually in the
Mhm.
beginning of 28 Days Later.
Oh god.
Yeah, I would.
Oh
I
god.
would yeah. Or he wakes up and he's John Bernthal, and it was all in John Bernthal's head.
Lord.
Yeah. Ooh, I like that. I like that a lot.
Shane, who's Rick?
Mhm.
I'm talking about him all day.
Actually, what I just described is something that they could actually do, probably. Because I don't think they'll get Andrew Lincoln to come back. But if they ask John Bernthal to come back for the finale,
You'd do it.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He's in between saving pit bulls and like
Yes.
Mhm.
and starring in Ubisoft games.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I can see that. And I think Andrew Lincoln is on his way to probably a franchise within the Disney universe. Who knows
Yeah,
which
Marvel.
one? Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. I could see him being in the Star
Something.
Wars films. Yeah.
I could too.
Yeah. He would fit the Star Wars films, and they
What if
mostly
he
film
was-
in London. So
What if he was
That works
Captain
fine.
Britain? What if they did that? Fuck it. Why
I
not?
mean,
They'd have to beef him up quite a bit, but yeah, I
Yeah,
can
I
see
would-
that.
Hunter, I can only get so hard. So you need to calm down. But no, he would be great. But that's the thing. Like any of those Walking Dead people would be good in any role in the Marvel in
They're
the
all
MCU.
great.
Yeah.
Again, my issue is the show exists. That's it.
Yep.
Mhm.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Well, this is. I think this is still on topic because it's something that we don't think will ever end. Not in a way that makes any sense. It will probably end in a bad way. And that's its own thing almost. We could talk about things that are endless for a long time. There are franchises that are technically still alive after hundreds of years, and
For some reason.
yeah, and even though I like some of them, there are sometimes where I'm like, how is that still here?
Oh, you mean like Doctor Who?
That was
Mhm. Well,
exactly
no,
what I was going to say.
I don't
actually, you know what? Even as somebody who watches it, I'm like, why is this still alive? How has this not been?
Yeah, no, don't get me wrong. Like everything I've seen of the newer Doctor Who, like I've thoroughly enjoyed, but it's still like you said, Arlen. How is this? Still going?
I don't hate Doctor Who, despite
No.
my not being able
Despite
to finish
having
it.
tried to watch it more.
Yeah, I don't hate it. My problem is I cannot sit through an episode. That's just it. It's like it's a good
That's
show.
fair.
I just do not have the attention span.
I don't want to kill anyone. I just don't want them to be alive anymore.
Yeah, exactly. I like
Right.
the ridiculous shit about Doctor Who. That's what I like.
Mhm.
Like the fucking dinosaurs in space. Fuck yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's the stuff that's really fun. And I think of Doctor Who from the lens of, okay, this is like if Power Rangers had a budget, but it's for British kids, so it's very British. And that plays a large part into how I judge the show, how I look at some of the ridiculousness that happens on that show. Is I'm not comparing it to other sci-fi even. I'm putting
You know what it
very
is?
much in its own category.
It's what if Power Rangers had an actual writer's room? That's
That's
exactly what it is.
Oh my god.
Stories for like 5 minutes.
Yeah. And
Well,
I say that as a Power Rangers fan.
I don't know if you know this, Arlen, and maybe you do, Connor. Am I incorrect in the story that I'd heard that originally Doctor Who had started as an educational program for children?
It was. Yeah,
Yeah,
it very much was.
That's
What?
okay. That's what I thought. Yeah. It was set up to be an educational show, and then it turned into what it did after drugs. Is my guess.
Yeah, it was. Let's do an education
Swing in
show.
60s.
But it can be whatever it needs to be for a
Hell
given
yeah.
episode.
Acid
So
was one hell of a drug.
So if we want to teach kids about science this week, our villain is going to be defeated with science. And at the time, they would try to go for science that seemed somewhat applicable to the times.
Yeah, like alchemy.
And like half of
Yes.
and half the episodes would take place during the past. There's an entire story set in, I can't remember the name of the actual country, but among Aztec peoples.
I thought you were gonna say the Saxons.
No,
No, not everything is Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
I'm sorry, that's all I can think about.
I was gonna add that watching those original episodes, like I told myself one day, I was like, I'm gonna watch all of Doctor Who.
Oh no!
Good luck
And then I went back and started with like the first season, and I was like, this is I can't fucking do it. It is so old. It is so cheap. It is so crispy. And just like not fun at all. just it elicits no emotion. You're like, it's so boring.
Well, the best thing to know is who was it who played the fourth Doctor?
Baker.
Tom Baker.
Tom Baker. Yes, the best thing, because Tom Baker was the Doctor that I grew up watching, because I would watch PBS late at night because I'm a 900-year-old man. That was also the only way I could see Monty Python. But
Right.
I found out much later that Tom Baker was a terrible drunk. So anytime I see Tom Baker episodes of Doctor Who, I'm like, oh, he's shit hammered right now. This is what makes this really entertaining to me, at least. And I don't know. There's something I love about some of the earnestness of the BBC special effects back then. Like they're trying their best. Like, oh, that's cute.
They're doing what they can with what they have.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, so when Darvos looks like just a wet mop inside of a Dalek outfit, you understand why.
Right, when there's a mummy that is clearly a man wearing football pads with wrappings wrapped around the football pads. Like,
yes.
Hell yeah.
That's how you do it.
Just so we don't get lost in the Doctor Who reads, because we could. There was a show I found on Netflix a long time ago. It was called Residue. It was a 3-episode pilot. And it's about an explosion under a nightclub in England. And after that, people start seeing ghosts. And they quarantine off basically several blocks around this nightclub. But it turns out fucking government was working on some spooky shit underground. And they caused the explosion, and so it's this big conspiracy reveal. There's really cool horror in it. It's 3-hour-long episodes, and it's fucking gone.
Ended after one series. And that's a very British thing.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's very typical, because that was gonna be my first question, is how long were the episodes? Because that's the British like to give you a lot very quickly and then be like, and we might be back, but if not, piss off.
And it ends in a huge cliffhanger. I was like, cool, I can't wait for this to become a real show. Still waiting.
Yeah. Is that the one that has Tonks in it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Tonks. Yeah, from Harry Potter. Yeah.
And Roose Bolton. Not Roose. Ramsay Bolton from Game of Thrones.
Ramsay,
Is that the one that Ron bones? I don't know.
No, she's the one that the werewolf was boning down on. She
Hell
died.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was also in Game of Thrones. She's the one.
She was.
Yeah, she's the one that Ramsay stabs. Yeah.
She's Osha or Asha, one of the two of them.
Yeah. She's also in an episode of Black Mirror, the Christmas special with John Hamm.
That's right, she is in that, isn't she?
Yep. Yep. Yeah, she's the one that
special.
Yeah, she's the one that kills that dude that everybody's watching through his contact glasses
John
or contact
Hamm
glasses.
rules.
Yeah. Yes, he does. Yes. I don't know. Does anybody have any movies that they thought should have continued on or might have gone on for too long a series?
Hellraiser.
You have one job.
Yeah, we don't need to spend enough time on Hellraiser on this show.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre, if you want to go that route too.
A lot of horror stuff, I would say they should have stopped after a certain point or taken a break. Because some of it's like, why did you even do this? Why did you do a Jason movie set in the middle of like LA? Just why?
You know
Why
what?
would you do that?
Fucking Dredd. Dredd should have had a sequel.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. Dredd should have had a sequel.
Like,
Yeah. Well,
God.
that's
Like
that's
10 years ago. Like,
well, that's the thing. I feel like it had the unfortunate timing of coming out right when The Raid was getting a
Yeah.
whole lot of positive
Yep.
buzz,
yes.
and
yeah.
they are the
They're-
same movie essentially. So
I like both those movies a lot. Like
Mhm.
they're essentially Die Hard. They're just improving upon
Mhm.
what Die Hard did.
Mhm.
Not-
It was also like a bad time to do movies. I feel like I actually think things are better right now than they were even 10 years ago for movies, especially for weird stuff like Dread.
Well, was that after the MCU had started up but hadn't gotten to Avengers yet?
2012, I think. Wasn't it?
Yeah. So
Oh,
Avengers
that's the
had
year
been that
Avengers
year.
happened.
Yeah.
Okay, that is exactly why Dredd got made then.
Yep.
Not that it was a bad movie, but that's 100% why it got made, and it didn't do MCU money, and that's why we haven't seen a sequel to it. So
Probably.
Well, they were
yeah.
talking about doing Mega City 1, that TV series that never happened. So
well, they talk about a lot of different TV series about a lot of different things.
And also, Lionsgate needed to make more Hunger Games movies, which,
Which that worked out so well for them, didn't it?
Who produces fucking Divergent movies?
Not
The ones that did so poorly, the ones that did so poorly that it never had a final movie, and they decided about if they're gonna like shoot it and air it on TV, and I guess everyone involved was like, "No, fuck you," and it just never happened.
That poor girl's career.
It's a career of being cut out of things.
Yes.
Yeah.
She's like a rich white girl, I think, or something like that. So
You
like,
had this weird thing where anytime she was brought up, you'd be like, "Well, she's got all that shampoo money," and I've never understood where you got that idea from.
I have no idea. I don't.
He doesn't even know.
Okay, so Divergent is also a Lionsgate Summit production, which
there we go.
It's like, okay, guys, we get it. You made a lot of money on Hunger Games.
You just did one of these.
But like, wow.
Was Lionsgate responsible for the Maze Runner as well?
They did a lot of those. Maze Runner was Fox, I think.
The second Maze Runner movie is pretty good.
Didn't the third one have horrible injuries on set? If not, somebody would die. And that's why
Dylan O'Brien got messed up, and I'm shocked that it doesn't show. He did not die, but like,
no, he died. He's dead.
Sure. No, his injuries were. I think they might have been worse actually than what Mark Hamill sustained in between Jedi and New Hope.
Wow, and that was a car accident. Jesus.
But Dylan O'Brien looks exactly the same, so that tells you something about how far we've come with cosmetic surgery.
There's no one single Dylan O'Brien. He's just a series of clones.
See, I was waiting for Arlen to say his injuries were worse than Mila Jovovich's stunt woman from Resident Evil. It doesn't show.
Speaking of Resident Evil,
in that case,
that should have ended like how many movies are there?
There's 6 movies.
It should have ended like after the first one.
Here's the thing: they should have ended, and also it has a terrible ending. Like as a series capper, I guess. The whole movie is just insulting from start to finish. I mean, if you want to watch it, get to see Ruby Rose get sucked into a fan, knock yourself out. But like, it's terrible.
That's pretty sick. But
for some reason, I remember, and maybe I'm misremembering which Resident Evil it was, but I could have sworn the third one wasn't half bad, or maybe. Yeah, because the second one was absolute garbage.
Yeah.
The third one was the one that had all the Mila Jovovich clones in that ditch at one point, and she finds them.
Yes.
That one I didn't hate. It wasn't great, but I was like, okay, I can sit here and watch this.
I hate those movies with an irrational passion. And I think Joe Escola will agree with me.
I mean,
I don't know if he's ever seen it or not, but like, man.
Well, I hope you're excited for the 5 planned sequels to Monster Hunter that are going to be coming out after.
Okay, that should end.
I can't wait. I can't wait for him to ruin a thing that people I know really like.
I'm going to. I will fist fight Paul Anderson. I will fucking do it. Meet me in the
The
parking
thing-
lot at 3 p.m. on Monday.
The thing that makes it gross is the same thing that often makes other things really cool, which is he apparently really loves both series that he is touching.
That's
or has touched.
bullshit. He is a fucking liar.
If you ask him, he says that he loves it, and I
How
think
many hours you got, Paul W.S. Anderson?
I've heard him defend his Resident Evil decisions as, well, people know that game and people know the game so well, so I ought to give him something different. I was like, I think you just wanted to do your own thing, regardless of what the game's
I think you're a
story
fucking liar.
was.
that's not a bad strategy, but replacing it with utter trash is not the answer.
Exactly.
You know, I get what he's saying. You don't want to just do the thing that people play, because that doesn't work either. Just giving people the exact same story that they already played, that's not how you do it. Like if they do if the Uncharted movie actually is an Uncharted movie, which I
No,
still
it's
don't
Venom.
think it is.
What are you talking about?
It's Venom. But say it is actually Uncharted. I don't
Didn't we
want
say
them to
Venom was
do-
Uncharted?
Yes. Now.
Yes, no, this has
Uncharted
been a
is-
running bit ever since people thought Life was Venom.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because
Uh,
whatever the actor's name is, I always forget. Was wearing French sweaters all throughout Venom, and we're like, it's fucking an Uncharted movie.
Yeah. Well, also he was holding a notebook.
Yes.
Drake, of course, as we all know, has a notebook.
Yeah, the notebook, famous notebook, like Steve
yeah.
from Blue's Clues.
Yeah, exactly. One day they bumped into each other in a hall and they switched notebooks. It was very confusing.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Where were we?
I'm
Evil.
talking about movies that deserved a sequel or at least a proper end or whatever. For me, and it's I know the comic boys recently watched this, but and lo and behold, today the rumors started really getting milled up. But Constantine, like
Peter Stormare on his Instagram. Feel like
I know they tripped over their own dick and made a movie that kind of became a cult hit, because that's the only way I can really describe Constantine. But
yeah,
I would love to see more of that movie. Just completely extricate what's his fucking face?
Shia LaBeouf.
Shia LaBeouf. Thank you. Yeah, just ignore him. Ignore he ever existed. Bring in a proper cabbie, not a fucking 18-year-old, and we're good to go.
I mean, honestly, modern Shia, I don't know if that would actually be a bad.
He's gotten way better. He's gotten way better.
He died in the movie, so it doesn't matter.
Oh,
he turned into an angel at the end
Eric,
of it.
do you not know? Okay, I was gonna say there's a post credits, and he's revealed to be
an angel. Yeah, he flies off with angel wings. So because Chaz in the comics was not that at all. And I understand they were doing a very different adaptation of Constantine, but fuck off with that. No, let's not do that.
Can leave him out too.
Yes, they should.
I don't think he would do it. I think we'll get one more time where Shia LaBeouf does like a really big blockbuster of that scale.
Hell yeah.
Because I don't think that that's what he's in for. I think he probably still has Transformers PTSD. So if he does it, it's going to be for something that he really wants to do.
All I want Shia LaBeouf to do is play characters in his Jeep during Zoom meetings while smoking weed. That's all I want.
Yes.
Have you seen that video? It's fantastic.
I haven't.
So he's doing, what is the movie? It's like Fast Time at Ridgemont High or something.
The movie from the early 80s, the one with Sean Penn in it?
Yes. Or he's playing like Jeffrey Spicoli. He's in his car dancing, smoking weed, and playing the character. It's amazing.
Oh.
Wow. He's certainly something.
He is. He's my hero.
I think that the My Bloody Valentine remake should have gotten a fucking follow-up.
We should be on number 10 of the sequels to that.
Yes.
We should be so deep into those movies because people have been talking about how we don't have modern slasher movies. Not in the way that we did in the 80s or even in the 90s. And I understand why that didn't happen in the 2000s, why it sort of died there, because it really didn't make sense there. And the ones that we did get were either like super, super violent and a bit ugly, or just bad, just really, really bad. I think we need the fun 80s slasher back. I don't think anybody is against watching those movies or having fun with them or accepting that they are kind of goofy and that that's part of the point of watching them. And that My Bloody Valentine movie perfectly exemplifies that. That feeling of like, oh, this is ridiculous. The people making this know it's ridiculous. I know it's ridiculous. We're all having a laugh together. It's just a good time all around, and I think we need more of that. I don't know. I know that the second of the newer Piranha movies apparently was not as good, but that's another movie in the same vein where it's like, yeah, more movies like that where they know exactly the kind of movie that they're making, and they're just making that movie. They're not
Less
trying to impress
avatars.
anybody.
Well,
Let-
what I know of the sequel, the modern sequel to Piranha, was that it knew what it was trying to be a little bit too much, like it was a little too on the nose, and even going over the top from everything I read about it. Like, it wasn't it called like, what was it, double D?
Three double D.
Yeah, like, all right, guys, like, come on. Like, I understand the first one, like, there were certain aspects of that fit within that 80s, like, 80s idea, but the second one, from everything I heard, it was just like, hey, look at these tits. Hey, ain't this funny? It's like an 80s
Are
movie.
they believed?
Yeah, like that was the impression I got from every review that I read about that movie. So I was just like, nah, let's not do that ever again, please. I've never watched all of the modern My Bloody Valentine, and I know you guys have given me shit about it before, but
my God,
yeah,
it
I can't
it
speak
defies the expectations that it should have had.
Mhm.
And then like goes above and beyond that because like one has a fantastic twist at the end. It takes itself pretty seriously for all the ridiculousness going on. It is unbelievably violent. Uh, uh, to me, for a theatrical slasher film, like at some point, I think Tom Atkins has a pickaxe shoved into his jaw, and then the killer rips it off and flings it towards the camera.
That's
Nice.
he had it coming.
Hold on, we just lose
Arlen
never
said he
mind.
lost
Oh,
power.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah,
Let me
it's so it's really well acted. The 3D works. It's funny when it needs to be, and the ending is a giant cliffhanger that leaves it open for a sequel. And I think I think this remake actually was going to follow plans laid out for the original sequel to the original movie, which is that Tommy returns home and people suspect him of being the killer after these murders resurface. But yeah, I don't know. It made a bunch of money, that and the Friday 13th movie, and then neither thing came from either of those things. So then those two went back to Supernatural.
Both starring Supernatural stars.
Yes.
there you go.
Very
There you go.
weird.
Hunter, did you have a movie that you feel should have gotten a sequel or should have kept going after possibly a less than satisfactory ending?
Here's the thing.
You don't watch movies.
I do watch movies. I can't think of one off the top of my fucking head right now.
Fair enough.
I liked Rampage a lot. I wish they'd do something more with that.
That wasn't the worst thing I ever saw. Like, and I could definitely see how they could do a sequel and have it probably be pretty profitable if they wanted to.
And they could like add more of the monsters too. Like, there's so
Yeah.
much like.
There's so much lore.
Yeah, there's actually a weird amount of Rampage lore.
Yeah, there is. It's disturbing and bothersome.
Yes, it makes me uncomfortable. Yeah, the Rampage is good.
I think the Silent Hill movie should have had a sequel, and if it was going to have a sequel, it just not be Revelations?
Yeah. No, actually, I agree with that. I think that first movie is like fine the way it is. I'm not the biggest fan of the Silent Hill movie because I think it ruined a lot of things for Silent Hill in a lot of ways.
I was gonna say before when we were talking about following the game plot, like slavishly, I think that movie actually is hurt by the eventual inclusion of the cult because it fucking comes out of nowhere, and that movie also combines like conceptually both ideas or two ideas of what Silent Hill is, which is one, a town that will fuck with you and pull out your deepest fears and insecurities and kind of mess with you, or it is a fucking cursed town that a cult inhabits.
It's essentially taking both ideas from the first, second, and third games.
Yeah.
And just being like, well, let's just mash them together. I don't think it works as well as people think it does. Because
because by the end of it, you're like, what the fuck is happening?
yeah, because 2 is like this. Silent Hill 2 is like this weird kind of psychological masterpiece, and
Yeah.
1 and 3 are almost just straight horror games, and I don't think the way they try to met them together doesn't work. Also, Pyramid Head shouldn't be in any of those movies.
Yeah.
And that bothered me a lot.
You know, it shouldn't have gotten 3 sequels or 2 sequels. Hangover.
Oh God, what?
They're
No.
not technically sequels, aren't they? Just expansion packs, technically.
Hangover 2 is definitely you're being charged full price for I don't know, a re-release or something. Because Hangover 2 is the same fucking movie down to when they have the musical breakdown. It's the same shit.
That's the thing. I've never actually seen the sequels ever.
I've only seen the first one.
2 is it follows the pacing of the first one almost to a T, and then 3 tries different things. It's kind of funny here and there, but ultimately you're I'm not invested in this anymore. Also, Zach Galifianakis' character is so stupid that he can actually get someone killed, and I don't know why people hang out with him.
Wow,
in fact, I'm pretty
like it went
sure
real dark.
It does. I think in the first 10 minutes, Alan in his game, it's Alan. He buys a fucking giraffe, and is driving down the freeway with it, and then it gets decapitated by a fucking overpass. And we've met his dad, right? It's Alan Arkin, I think.
I guess I don't remember.
Yeah, it's an old comedy actor, but the movie opens up with his dad seeing this on TV, having a heart attack, and dying from embarrassment.
Okay, I kind of like that. That's pretty funny.
Wow. I mean, I shouldn't be that surprised, being that this was the same guy who did a documentary on Gigi Allen. But Jesus Christ, man, that's a lot to take in the first half hour of a movie. And
the first half hour, it's first 5 minutes.
Fuck's sake. No, thank you. No, thank you. A movie that another movie that I think actually should have gotten a goddamn sequel, but Disney had to go and buy Star Wars and Marvel, was John Carter. John Carter was so goddamn good, and it was to me. Shut up. It was it hit all the right notes, that it was just adult enough that it was entertaining to people over the age of 12, but it was still approachable enough that kids could understand the basic concept of it. And there's so much John Carter lore and just stories out there that they could have gone for another 5 movies and probably made a decent amount of money. But because the marketing was so terrible, and they were like, oh, it's a romance, no, it's sci-fi, no, it's action, no, it's this, they didn't know what they were doing, and they fucked themselves.
Whatever I have to say about that movie, I enjoy that concept of that film a lot.
You didn't like the movie?
I don't like that movie a whole lot.
Why don't you like that movie? Tell me why, Hunter.
I was bored, personally.
Maybe you're a boring person, and it was reflecting you.
Yeah, true.
Maybe it was holding a mirror up to yourself, and you're like, oh no, I have to do some self-discovery.
Yes, that was me.
That movie was Looking Glass, Hunter.
I like the idea of a Civil War soldier going to Mars. I like that idea a lot. That's cool.
Yeah.
More of that, please.
I've never seen it.
You should. I really think you should. It's even if just so you can say that was dumb. Eric has bad opinions, and I wish he would fall in a pit.
Eric, bad movie.
Yeah,
I didn't want to say it, but
yeah, but no, I think it's worth seeing.
I just couldn't get into it. I don't know. Maybe it's my problem.
Willem Dafoe is the voice of the one main alien in the movie.
True, he is.
It's great. It's got that fast dog thing, and it's the only time that I've seen that guy who got stuck playing Gambit in Wolverine Origins.
Oh my god.
Yeah, he actually had a good role, and he was good in it, and it showed that he actually could act. But nope. Marvel had
Arlen, you're super quiet, and also I think you're on a delay. Case in point.
Yeah.
Processing.
There we go.
Things went bad on my side of recording, so
I
really
like the idea that Arlen lost power and then he had to get up and walk over to a crank in the wall and just start cranking it to get all the power going in the house again.
Alan, what are you doing?
Arlen, the spaghetti's getting cold.
You gotta turn the fridge back on.
What about video games?
There's a lot of video games I feel like maybe should have got a sequel and maybe should not have.
Mm-hmm.
Name
some.
Damn.
Spec Ops: The Line is one I would say someone should revisit.
I don't know if they should revisit that because I think as a singular experience, that game is amazing.
Yeah.
Arlen, have you ever heard of anything about Spec Ops: The Line? Or have you played it?
I know a good bit about.
Do you know the basic idea?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Go ahead.
The thing about Spec Ops is it like before The Line, it was a series, and I was like,
yeah,
it was like one of those series you'd find in like a bargain bin.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then The Line came. I think the story is some screenwriter was like, I have this story for a game, and I've been pitching everywhere. No one wants to take it. Can I do it for Spec Ops? And they did. And
so this is
sure.
like Universal Soldier 3.
Yeah.
Which is one of those that came out recently, which is apparently good, actually.
Yeah. It was a story that he already written that he wanted to put out there, and he just put it into existing property.
Yeah, he went to the creators of Spec Ops. He waited for them to stop fighting a hobo over chicken bones. And
guys, I have a solution to all your problems.
Yeah, I think Spec Ops is something that it would do better, or it would be better served being remastered than it would getting a sequel.
Yeah.
Because the story of Spec Ops doesn't really leave a whole lot of room to do a sequel.
In fact, it does not leave you feeling very good at all.
No, it makes you feel real bad about a lot of different things at the end of the game. So it's kind of
I meant conceptually take a different character and kind of, explore it the same way.
If you mean
different situation.
not the same character and just like the whole the idea that war is so terrible, like that.
Yeah, you know how and actually this is a good example because it shouldn't have had a sequel because the sequel's terrible. Manhunt 2 is it's the same thing, but it's a different situation, it's different people, the story's different. It's also terrible. I think you could do that. Holy shit, Manhunt 2.
God.
Yeah. I can't think of any games off the top of my head that I feel like didn't deserve the sequels they got because I only play good games.
Personally, I think we have way too many Call of Duties. That's just me.
Well, the problem with Call of Duty sells too much not to make them.
Yeah, exactly. I can't argue against its existence now because it's so fucking profitable.
And Call of Duty has been so scattershot with 1 year the story will be really good, and 1 year it'll be terrible. 1 year the online or the multiplayer will be great. Another year it'll be ravaged by all these problems that they wanted to implement. Yeah. So it kind of has to keep doing this because they haven't figured out the golden mean for it, where they can keep coming out with good story and good multiplayer.
Yeah, it's in its own place. I would say it's in its own little special room. I think the nature of video games is just different from a lot of other forms of storytelling. If we're specifically focusing on that, because there are so many video games that can get away with being just all right or just fine and still get sequels. Partially, I think it's because of how much they invest into those games, how much in terms of marketing and
astronomical amounts,
creating assets, creating engines. You can't really stop. It's closer, I think, to building and designing an airplane. If you design a version of the airplane that's never actually going to fly or people are going to be in it, you don't just stop pursuing that airplane altogether. You just design another airplane. Until that line of design just completely falls away because, this is as far as we can go with that design.
That was a very obtuse metaphor.
That was.
I think so, but it's better than any other explanation within art. I can't think of another place in the art world where that's the case.
Like,
Maybe
there's a lot of-
novels. Maybe there are some series of books that maybe start out not as good, but later books sort of earn the respect that the first books don't really have.
There's a lot of
maybe-
like Japanese games that come out, leave on a like cliffhanger, and then just never are localized back to America.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, or older series that was a strong franchise that like through one means or another just didn't continue.
yeah, like Dark Cloud. Like
Yes.
I don't know if you've ever played those games, Connor.
Yes.
Eric.
I know of them. They were early PS2 games, weren't they?
Yeah, they were PS2 games. And they're really good, and they're level 5. The developers, I believe, recently were like, well, we thought about it, but no. So
but kindly fuck you.
yeah,
Goodbye.
I really want a sequel to those. I don't think it'll ever happen.
I'm just gonna get it out of the way. It's the fucking elephant in the room for this conversation. Legacy of Kain hurts my soul every fucking day.
Well,
Especially now that people are doing all this data mining on Soul Reaver and they're finding all this fucking cut content. There's people working to restore it and kind of give it an HD gloss over, and all the Dead Sun stuff that got dug up looks really interesting. And then someone I don't know how someone did this or where they got it. Someone pulled a clip from that game where someone's watching a stage play being put on in Nosgoth, and they specifically reference Kain and Raziel as if they're old folklore characters, and like paint them as these kind of evil, world corrupting figures. So they at least acknowledge that, and I think it took place well into the future where the world has been decaying long enough to the point where the sun has died. There's no sunlight anymore.
I think stuff like Legacy of Kain, those will eventually come out. Like there's not a company on this planet who will not revive a dead franchise anymore. Like there's so look at fucking what is the name of that game?
Well, while you're trying to remember that real quick though, who was directly involved with the original Legacy of Kain games? Was it Crystal Dynamics?
Crystal Dynamics and Silicon Knights, and then IDOS.
Okay, Silicon Knights. All right.
There's still Silicon Knights deserve.
Okay, so Silicon Knights worked on Blood Omen and Blood Omen 2, and that was really about it. Crystal Dynamics were the people behind Soul Reaver and everything going forward.
Yeah,
for me, like the Legacy of Kain games. I played the first two. I really enjoyed them, and then I felt like all the other games came out so quickly that I was like, I don't know how good these are gonna be, and I just stepped away completely from them.
Blood Omen 2 is bad. Blood Omen 2 has bad dialogue, bad combat, and bad animations. And I think Defiance suffers from a bit of repetition, but the story in Defiance is fantastic, and all the voice acting is just like on a different level, even for today's standards. And then Defiance ends with a giant fucking cliffhanger, like a big status quo changing event, and then fucking radio silence for almost 20 years now.
I was thinking of Prey, by the way. Prey is
shit.
God.
Prey is proof that nothing is sacred anymore. People will remake things.
I'm kind of angry that the Prey that we got isn't the one that was originally talked about as the sequel.
I like Prey. I like the new Prey. I think it's fine.
Yeah.
But what the original sequel is, I want that more.
Yes, that sounded great. It kind of gave me, at least describing it, and mind you, everybody speaks their stuff to the moon and back, but it kind of gave me like what an early version of like Space Skyrim would be. The way they kind of talked about it is like yes. Well, yeah, we'll see what that ends up being, if ever, Todd Howard.
If ever.
When that comes out in 2035.
Yeah, well, you're talking like that year will actually exist to humans. Like, it's just the way they talk
after
about
the nuclear war, we had to make our own video game.
Oh, you're talking like COVID isn't going to become the sentient giant mass that rules over us. Yeah, like, because the way they talked about it in, like, previews, they made it sound like, "Oh, yeah, no, you'll go to these different worlds, and you'll, like, be able to do different quests because you're kind of a space cop," and I don't know, it sounded really cool, and then they're like, "Nah, black glob monster," and maybe it's
Watch out,
not.
it's a lamp. Watch out, it's
Yeah.
a trash can.
It's a chair.
And don't get me wrong, like, what they did in that game was cool from what I played of it, but it didn't click for me. I don't know. That was just me.
Yeah.
I agree wholeheartedly.
I'm waiting for new Leisure Suit Larrys. That's what I want.
Yeah.
That's
I want them.
I'm
They need
sure
to go
if you
back.
look hard enough, there's more of them.
There are more of them.
They need to go back to the original, like, Sierra model, which is type in everything. And if you don't type it exactly right, nope, that's not going to work. Even if you're saying the exact right thing, just not in the language the computer wants you to say it in.
You don't like clicking on the exact pixels?
Oh no,
Oh my
no,
god, I
no!
fucking hate pixel hunting.
You didn't even pixel hunt in the original, like, King's Quest and games like that. You would type in, like, open the door. I can't do that. Like what? Like, unlock the door. You don't have a key. Like, fuck. Don't swear. That's bad. Like, yeah, the original Sierra games were monsters. Like, you had to know exactly how to type things or you were fucked.
My favorite instance of those having any form of like revisit or comeback is when Oni played the original Lord of the Rings typing adventure game.
Oh god.
Let me tell you something. First of all, that game is bonkers because you can
Mhm.
take any of the 4 hobbits that you play as and murder the other 3.
Hell yeah. That's I love my video games.
But yeah, it's they're played Frodo. Yeah, those adventure games. I remember playing the original few King's Quest, but beyond that, I kind of stopped.
Yeah, there's on the subject of Sierra games real quick because I'm the oldest man in here.
Right.
There was a really great game called Gabriel Knight, and the first one, I know there were sequels to it, but the first one was the only one I played, and it was a voodoo horror detective story.
I know Gabriel.
Oh.
And it was heavy into the voodoo stuff. It was not just like, and then you have a voodoo doll, and then this guy's doing like it got into some shit, and I remember being just completely enthralled by it. It was so good, and the sequels apparently got worse and worse, apparently up to the point they were doing a live action one.
That reminds me of how Atari every like decade or so will be like, hey, hey, remember us? We exist. Let's make a fucking Alone in the Dark game that has nothing to do with the first one.
Shoot!
And we're gonna let this German director play bold, make a movie. We don't know any of his films because we've never sat down and watched them, but I'm sure he won't make anything too bad.
Big things, people. We're looking at big things.
We're sorry. We are a real company that still exists. We make things.
We swear we're not a tax shelter for some organizations.
Atari now is like the Ross Perot presidential candidate from the 90s. Like, it's there, but it's not doing a fucking thing.
Oh, well, they're actually trying to come out with a system again.
Yeah. You know what's crazy? The company that calls himself Atari now is not the original Atari.
Nope.
No.
Infogrames is the original Atari.
Yeah, the ones that had the armadillo as their company logo.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. On the subject of games that, well, they within the past, like, I'd say 5 to 10 years saved themselves, but were heading towards being something that should have stopped, was Assassin's Creed, actually.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I enjoyed Syndicate. I don't know. I know most people are kind of like meh about it. That's the one that has the twins, correct?
Yeah.
I enjoyed that one, but yeah, Origins that took them in such a good new direction, and
they brought in new fans. They brought in new people who had no interest in Assassin's Creed.
Could not give a shit less.
Yeah,
right. Because they had started really slicing it down to like just the people who really are. Their brains seem to be specifically designed to really like Assassin's Creed games. That was it. Those were the people. It had gotten even more specific, I would say, than people who play a lot of sports games. Where there were people who only played Assassin's Creed, who would buy a new system based on how Assassin's Creed played.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, I know one of those people.
I don't know if it's that intense.
Yeah,
but
I don't know anybody who's that
I don't
crazy.
know if that's.
I have a younger sibling who bought an Xbox
Well,
specifically
your
for
younger
Black
sibling
Flag.
has had some wild opinions
true.
and things in the
That is
past.
true.
so-
Well, this particular one, yes.
Yeah.
This particular one has played every Assassin's Creed game, though. Every Assassin's Creed game.
I mean, I have two.
Yeah,
Some
same.
of them I wish I did.
Yeah.
Syndicate was actually the one where I was like, I don't think I like these anymore.
Mhm.
Also at that point, like, okay, so I think 2, no, it's not 2, 3, because I think 2 is perfect. 3 begins a pattern of like really dreadful design and pacing that goes on for like 3 more games.
Revelations was the one where I was like, how could they possibly make more of these?
Was that the multiplayer one?
Yes.
No, that was Unity.
Oh yeah, it was Unity. Yeah, I never played Unity. That was the only one I didn't
Unity is not worth playing.
No.
For any reason.
And I kind of don't want to play it anymore since they patched it because I want to see like this.
You want the
faceless-
jank. You got to see the
You
fucked
have to see
upness.
the crazy glitches.
Yeah, I need to
That's
see
what you
the
want
eye mouth monster that's trying to be human. Yeah. But yeah, I mean,
Oh, my
Origins
favorite thing.
and Odyssey they
Yeah.
turned it into a completely new series and for
Well,
all
and then
intents and
they-
purposes.
They
It's sad that
refocused the
they
story
make
too
the
because
after that. They just didn't. They
Oh. So I don't want to spoil Valhalla, but maybe rephrase that sentence, Connor.
Okay, what I mean is that like Origins and Odyssey gets you away, like really, really, really gets you away from the Abstergo shit. Like you can go hours in that game without ever hearing about Abstergo or being forced out of the fucking fun shit into a walking simulator. And they don't really emphasize the whole like, you know, doomsday prophecy, alien race, progenitor people as much as the originals did. And I like that because I always found it to be immersion shattering.
So you should play Valhalla.
I'm eventually.
That's all I'm gonna say, because like there's some stuff in that game.
Also, like the conflict between Templars and Assassins only got interesting when it was revealed that the Templars just won, like just steamrolled the other side.
Like the Assassins are fighting a losing battle.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy.
And for a very, very long time. Also,
Yes.
it would seem. I don't know. I'm still mixed up about Ubisoft and anything to do with them.
Yeah. That's kind of why I'm not going to buy the game. I'm asking for it for Christmas.
Yeah.
Right. No, here's that is my loophole essentially as well. The younger sibling that I already mentioned, they're probably going to buy the game and they're going to beat it in like a week. So if they come to town or if they don't mind shipping it to me, because they're probably going to buy a digital version, I will play it then. But I would feel real bad about spending my own money to buy it because
like these annual franchises, like a lot of them have a lot of things in common. Like Call of Duty, Assassin's Creed, like they're all the same. Assassin's Creed less so because they make gradual changes between games. But fucking like they're usually all the same games. So like these annual franchises aren't. I don't see them ever ending at this point.
No, they make incremental changes.
Yeah, and they do adjust to the desire of the people to some degree. Like even if I think Assassin's
Spoken like someone who's never played a WWE game.
Well, yeah,
all WWE games
I've
are the
seen
same.
enough of them. Like COD stuff, even if I think it's really bizarre to suddenly go back to the Cold War and act like it's something new, because there was already a game about the Cold War and acting like you didn't already make one is really fucking dumb. As bizarre as I think that is, I do appreciate that they're like resetting the tone. And that they are actually paying attention to the story. They're also going so far as to make games where there's absolutely no story. So they're clearly trying to cater to as many audiences as they possibly can. And of course they would, because they're trying to make lots of money. But I'm only hearing interesting things from what they've been doing lately. I'm not hearing anything that I would say is just unequivocally bad.
I played a lot of Warzone, and I stopped
Mhm.
playing during the Halloween event because I thought it was a bad event. But like
Mhm.
it's just like these games aren't different from each other. Like
Mhm.
they're just the same game
Yeah.
wrapped in a different
They
wrapper.
they
It's the
have
same thing in different skins, and
yeah.
how much you like them depends on how much you like the skin.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Something going back to what we were talking about earlier about how like sometimes there'll be the weird thing where like you'll have a first game and that's it then, or like you'll have a second game come out and it's so completely disparate from the first one that it's almost like, how is this a sequel? Like in some ways I feel like that was what happened with Mass Effect, and I feel like that's
How
what
did I know you were gonna say that?
it
Mhm.
feels like that happens a lot more frequently now. Like looking at
Yeah.
something like Nier, like the first game, mind you,
Mhm.
I've heard good things about it, but I've also heard really bad things about the first Nier. But
Those people are
universe,
wrong, but
but
Uh-huh.
universal praise for the second one.
yeah,
Like I've never heard a bad thing about the second Nier game, and I mean I played it. It's great. It's a fucking
It's-
phenomenal game. I got like
it's
24,
honestly,
but yeah,
it's one of the best action games of all time.
yeah,
Like
it is.
it's high up there.
It's one of those few like action games where I'm like, all right, I guess I need to grind for a bit to be able to get this one thing that I really want to get. Like it's just
Mhm.
it's so fucking perfect, and the story, while initially seemed convoluted as you play, you're like, oh shit, you're doing
It makes
this.
a surprising amount of sense by the end.
Yes.
Yeah. And
And-
so also to go along with this, video games really don't end. That's the thing. That's
Not
something that
anymore.
I've
They used
noticed.
to.
Yeah,
They-
even Mass Effect like has an
Yeah.
ending and then just continued.
Oh god.
Mhm.
Speaking
Yes.
of
Mhm.
things that should not
Yeah.
get a
Well,
sequel.
It on
and when they try to do
Yes.
like a right, and when they try to do like an ending to a series, like they usually are hollow endings. Like the last ending I can think of that I think is actually going to hold and actually mean something is Uncharted 4's ending might actually hold and might actually mean something.
Yeah, I think
I don't know if it will in reality, but
I don't think Naughty
it
Dog is
might.
interested in making another one. Honestly,
Well,
Not
if the
with
movie comes
not with
out, you might not have a choice.
that's true.
well, that's true. That's the other thing. Like the movie could come out, it could be
Uncharted the
gigantic, a
movie, the
gigantic
game,
hit.
the movie.
Actually,
Mhm.
I want that.
Well, not that, but like
SWAT is in it from Street Fighter the
The-
movie.
Tomb Raider rebooted after the movies had come out. Now that was partially because of Uncharted.
Well,
Yeah.
Yeah.
there's
Well,
a lot
it-
of reasons why Tomb Raider
Yeah.
rebooted.
Tomb Raider had lain dormant for
Yeah.
quite a while, and
Mhm.
and they saw how good Uncharted was, and I think they're like, well, wait a fucking minute here.
And
And
I like those games a lot. Like
yeah,
don't get me wrong.
I enjoyed both
I
of them.
really liked the first one, yeah.
Yeah.
I couldn't really get into the second one. I'm one of the people who like appreciated how gory and violent
Mhm.
Laura's deaths were. Like
Mhm.
that kind of did it for me. I was like, yeah, fucking go for it. It's something that I don't see in other
I
video
mean,
games.
it's something that's not in Uncharted, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Uncharted-
Or
God.
any game of that. Any game that's going for what that game is going for. Like it's not a horror game. It's not like a
Nathan Drake is a horrifying murderer who killed.
right.
Yeah,
killed
yeah,
Right.
and in Uncharted, you're on the opposite end of it. You're dealing out horrible, gruesome deaths to thousands of people. And when you're
And-
Lara,
Tomb Raider, you die by yourself impaled on a
It's
spike.
right. It's
Yes.
nice to see something that gruesome and that you feel the punishment of that. A lot of games are about separating you from how gruesome and horrible the things that are happening
Yeah.
on screen are.
They don't even
and I
address it in
yeah.
Uncharted.
Yeah, they
Well-
don't even go into it in the least. Like Batman at the end of each of those Batman games should just be blue. His skin should not be the
He should
color.
just be a giant bruise.
Yes, he should be blood blisters and just
Well,
like,
on that idea, Arlen, just to touch back on a game we talked about earlier, you should really check out Spec Ops: The Line if you get a chance then, because that touches on a lot of the things you were just talking about. You just you have to get there eventually.
yeah.
I'm trying to think, like, it. I don't know of any other games that like recently I've been like, this needs to end, or like, I wish there were sequels to this. A movie real
I
quick.
would like
Oh, go
to
ahead.
levy a criticism at Mortal Kombat 11
Because
because they attempted. Okay, so like 9's a reboot. Hey, cool, because Armageddon sucked, and then like the way they kind of reshape the narrative is pretty interesting. 10 is like, this is the new status quo. They don't even let that breathe for a single game before they fly off into another fucking reboot. And the spoilers for Mortal Kombat 11 in it's bad story mode. The ending of that basically undoes everything in the Mortal Kombat universe and starts over from like well into the past when the first Kung Lao was trained to be in the first Mortal Kombat. Like, hey, that's cool, but like I just got attached to Cassie, Takeda, Kunjin, Jackie, Aaron, all these new characters, and like you're just gonna abandon everything again and leave all this loose shit like undiscussed and unresolved, like Scorpion. Also, it undid a lot of like character development they've done over years, like Scorpion, Sub-Zero burying their rivalry and becoming friends, and then one of them just dies, and they're like, yeah, timeline's rebooted anyway.
Yeah.
I'd just like to point out something real quick. I'm glad you cut yourself short before you said something about Aaron Black being a character you like, because nobody likes Aaron Black.
He's nothing.
Nobody likes Aaron Black.
Well, Connor, when the eventual NetherRealm non-fighting game comes out, you'll get your wish.
Yeah,
so I'm sure it'll be another reboot somehow.
Yep.
Well, I was gonna say, so to jump off that, I feel like video games reboot more often, or they have the ability,
they have the luxury of doing that.
Yeah,
well,
like
it's like,
how many times has Resident Evil pulled the plug and plugged back in?
Well,
5
my God.
now.
Here's the thing: it has and it hasn't.
Yeah,
because it's like,
I mean, yes, it's the same continuity, but like the style has changed multiple times. The
thing that they'll do is they will introduce a character and then never speak about that character ever again.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, like Ark Thompson from Resident Evil Gun survived.
Do you remember Jake Wesker? Remember Wesker's son?
Right. But they'll come back for a game. Like, there will be multiple games without Chris Redfield, and then you are Chris Redfield punching.
Or are you? Or are you Chris Redfield?
Or are you?
Well, and at this point, they just remake the original ones and be like, "Hey, look, it's a new Resident Evil," or is it?
See, the newer 7 kind of did a thing that I like, where I was like, "Hey, what if this is just what Resident Evil is now? Like, this is it's the same universe. Everything that's happened, but this is the ramifications of having Umbrella in the world."
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, I think the new path that they're taking Resident Evil down is the best path they could be going.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how they managed to get there, but I'm so glad they did, because 7 was a revelation.
And like, I am so excited for Village.
Yes. Yeah. Not 8, it's just Village. We promise it's not 8.
Those people are idiots.
Even if 8 is in the title.
Reboot again. I think that's what I'm getting
Capcom and Hideo Kojima are the worst for that shit.
Yeah.
It's not 5, it's V. I'm like, fuck off.
That is also a series that I say we should consider dead.
Yeah, don't ever make another one.
Metal Gear, I think, is functionally dead as of this recording.
Konami has kind of been functionally dead for a while, anyways.
Yeah,
so.
It would be different. It would be different if there were no Metal Gear Survive. If 5 had just kind of came out and they were like, "We're done with this," but then they had the audacity to make Metal Gear Survive, and that game is a piece of shit.
I guarantee you, the only reason that came out is for them to be spiteful. Like,
I also think it came out because the Fox engine probably cost them a lot of fucking money.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, so they needed to do something to use it.
If you believe the rumors, though, Silent Hill's coming back soon. So,
yeah,
I mean, isn't there a rumor every year that Silent Hill's coming back?
Yes.
Yeah, you've been saying that, I think, every year that we've been podcasting.
Yeah, and when it happens, I'm going to jump off the roof of my apartment. That's what's going to happen.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Well, who's to say you'll be allowed outside at that point?
That's true.
One movie I wanted to touch on real quick that sorry to go back to movies, but that should have never gotten a sequel, and maybe this is a radical fucking notion, but
Mm.
The Incredibles should have never gotten a sequel,
Yep.
and they should have just left it as it was and left people wanting more because no,
Not 10 years. I would say they shouldn't have waited 10 years.
well that's it, yes, but
Yes.
even then, the sequel was just, what if we did the first movie, but it was Mrs.
Yeah.
Incredible?
That was my biggest problem.
I
with
saw that movie.
Yeah.
I don't remember a single thing that happens in it.
I really don't remember much of that movie.
I passed.
Yeah,
You're fine. You're
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's-
Honestly, I think Disney sequels outside of Toy Story are all pretty risky ideas.
I mean,
Because
yeah.
Disney movies tend to capture lightning in a bottle like instantly, and then any subsequent attempts are usually lesser.
Well, it's even more of a potentially terrible or radical hot take, but after having settled on it for a bit, I don't know if we needed the sequels to Star Wars.
I don't
Honestly-
think we needed them either.
Honestly,
Okay.
I'm
As
kind of
much
siding with
as
you.
as much as I loved Last Jedi and Force Awakens,
I
Now
wish,
that series, now that the sequels are done, like it is a really reprehensible trilogy.
Well-
I'm thinking about it, and I wish I could take back every discussion I've ever had about Star Wars in the past like 4 years.
Yeah, because it's
Yeah.
Here's the problem. Star Wars, I think, has taken up the same space and culture that
the
day-to-day
Bible.
Well, I was gonna say, I mean, kind of. You're not far off from what I was about to say. It's taken up a similar space to modern politics in people's heads.
God.
And
I
I
wanna
think
throw
it's
up.
used a lot as I don't want to say a filler, but a replacement. It gets really confusing because you'll have people who don't feel the same way about Star Wars as
Yeah, they
people
just
who
don't
I
like
think
women.
are wrong
That's it.
about Star Wars.
Exactly.
This is very confusing, but the point is, I think it's taken up a similar place, and I think it's used as a replacement because it's part of
Yeah.
the same sense of cultural disconnect that exists.
Yeah.
So there's a
Yeah,
lot
I
of
can see
people who really like to get angry about Rey.
Yeah, because
and-
women can't use laser swords.
Mhm,
Exactly.
mhm.
They're not.
and
they're
that's
not- they
yeah,
should
and
not
that's not their
taught.
way of expressing other feelings that they have towards women at
Yeah.
all. Never.
Also, Star Wars is bad, so I didn't make more.
Well, here's
my-
the thing. No, you go ahead. You
I was just gonna
took up
say,
a lot of space.
my biggest problem is that like I want something like Last Jedi to exist because
Yeah.
Mhm.
outside of like this trilogy, it showed that, and this is obviously a radical opinion according to a lot of
Mhm.
people on the internet because they're a bunch of fucking babies that need to be milk fed. That yes, milk fed. Yes, out the tits. Like Last Jedi, like showed that you could do something completely removed from anything that's ever been done in any other Star Wars film, and
Mhm.
it works. Like, yeah, there are parts that are a little long in the tooth and maybe could have been shortened or maybe couldn't have been quite as on the head as they were, but it still tried to do things that might be, I don't know, outside of like good men fight bad men. We finish fight.
Mhm.
Like it was dealing with the interstellar politics, and it was
Yeah.
trying to step outside of the safety boundaries of what had been established in prior Star Wars movies, and I fucking appreciated that. And then it was just
Yeah.
a retracting back to let's do what's safe. Let's only
Well,
make
and-
it about this bloodline.
To follow your point, it's still a movie that you could take a 7-year-old to, and they would have a fucking great time.
Mhm.
I know for a fact
Yeah,
that there were
dumb.
7-year-olds who went, not for that reason, Hunter, but
Because
yeah.
they're stupid and they can't form a
But
thought.
But I sat in a theater for all 3 of those movies. Now, admittedly, I went to a theater more for 2 of those movies than one of them. But I can tell you that in each of those experiences, even in the one of them that I think is terrible, children ate them up. So in a way, they did what they were supposed to do, and they did what they could for the audience that I think that they're there for. I think adults and our opinions on Star Wars don't matter.
No.
That's
Yeah.
we don't matter. our opinion should not matter.
True facts.
As long as they're working for kids, all right. Would I like them to be better? Sure. I would love them to be better.
I want a feature-length Babu Frick movie. That's all I
Mhm.
want.
Yeah.
You
but
are
here's
part of
thing.
the problem, Hunter.
I am the person who's like, as long as I get the movies that are a little bit weirder, I'm all right with it. You know, if it were up to me,
See-
there would be 10 Rogue One like movies out there.
And no solos.
No solos. Absolutely no fucking solos. Are you?
It is.
kidding me?
It is funny how like they made a spin-off movie that deals with one of the main characters, and that's the only
Mhm.
spin-off movie so far that's bad.
Yeah,
It's the one nobody wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's almost like that ground had been tread, and we
Yeah.
didn't need more of it.
Well, it's the thing that's counter. I don't even know what the word is. I had a big glass of whiskey earlier.
Mhm.
The idea though that runs counter to my thinking that like Star Wars didn't need sequels, like, is if we didn't have these, we wouldn't have the momentum and we wouldn't have gotten something amazing like The Mandalorian.
Yeah,
And that's the biggest problem I have, is like the only way for one of these things to exist is for two good movies and a bad third one to exist.
Mhm. Yeah. I mean,
Oh, also
It's
Star
weird.
Wars ruined my childhood. So
Yes.
Well, it's weird because
Cannot be in space.
yes,
They
they
belong
can't.
in the kitchen.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
Excuse me, Eric. George Lucas raped your childhood.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah,
that's
right.
the correct
Yeah.
terminology.
Yeah,
yeah, uh-huh.
yeah. A lot of people listened to that Patton Oswalt stand up, didn't they?
Mhm.
George
But-
Lucas fucked the Dewback toy.
Damn it.
Would you like
Um,
some ice cream? Well, here's some rock salt.
George, stop doing that in front of me. I'm here to pitch Ewoks, you motherfucker.
You can't watch a movie
Ah!
on your phone.
No, Arlen, it sounded like you were trying to get to a point of some sort, but you might be in the same level of.
I
alcohol in your
completely
system as
forgot.
I-
What? No,
Yeah.
okay.
It's midnight and I'm losing my mind.
I struggle sometimes to separate myself from completely understanding where sometimes executives have to come from with this stuff and being like, no, fuck you, that's bullshit. And I have both things in my mind sometimes. I understand our old friend Bob Iger being like, no, you need to make those movies now. You need to make them as soon
Do
as
it
possible.
Or
And
else.
fuck you.
Fuck you. I
Make
hate you.
But
So-
at the same time, I'm like, yeah, but you could have just made spin-offs. They could have just made Mandalorians
They
and
coulda-
Rogue Ones and been completely fine and not done new trilogy movies until
But
somebody
I don't-
came along and had a pitch for a trilogy.
Or they could have done a new trilogy that has nothing to do with Jedi's or Sith.
But
Mhm.
like, that's what I mean though, is I don't think The Mandalorian would have existed in the quality it's at if if this trilogy hadn't come out and the third one been so divisive between
Yeah.
so
I
many
think
people.
if I think that's correct. I think also there's the factor of they maybe weren't paying attention to the Mandalorian to the same degree that they were paying attention to the main trilogy. And I think that it's a case of the main trilogy having all that attention actually being a bad thing. That it actually
They're moving,
didn't help them.
Oh, go ahead, Hunter.
They're too busy removing. I can't remember her name.
Yeah, Rose. Yeah.
Too busy cutting her out of the movie viciously.
Yeah.
My counterpoint to that argument, though, Arlen, would be The Mandalorian was like their launch show on Disney Plus.
It was
Like,
yes.
so you better be goddamn sure they were going over that with a fine tooth comb. Just be like, all right, this better be good. Like, because
I mean,
that's the reason why people were getting Disney Plus initially.
And then WandaVision.
yes. I mean,
coming soon.
so Jon Favreau, of course, I wouldn't say he's a sure thing. To say that he's a sure thing would be silly because he hasn't always made great things. But if I'm doing the tally and I'm looking at all the projects I have ahead of me, and I'm looking at Mandalorian and I see Jon Favreau, Mandalorian, yes, you're right. Disney Plus, they are going to focus on that because they want Disney Plus to be successful. I think that there's a certain degree of, John's not going to mess this up. he knows it's our premiere series. He's responsible for the MCU existing. I
Yeah.
can kind of trust him a little bit. The Star Wars movies at that exact same point, not really as secure. Even though they made money, they were divisive from step one, basically.
Yeah.
Or past, I would say, the second trailer, because a lot of people just like came in their pants after the first trailer for
They saw
Force
the Millennium
Awakens.
Falcon
Mhm.
because they're children.
But like the closer we got to it, I remember there being people even during the Force Awakens who were like super critical of Rey, and I was very suspicious as to why they were so critical.
I have a
of
theory of
Rey.
Because they're incels.
Yes.
And because these are the same people who had problems with Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to turn this into another hour on Star Wars. So
Yeah, let's get out
I
while
think
we
at this
can.
point, yeah, we should probably wrap it up because I think we've covered a lot of decent ground here with stuff that was good, bad, and otherwise.
I agree.
Yeah.
So I'm Connor. That's Eric,
Hi.
not
I'm-
Nick.
I'm Lou Gonzalez.
I'm John
Muir.
Tyler.
Alan Muir.
I'm Chris Smith.
I am also Chris Smith from Taking a Page.
I'm Izza.
Yeah, and I've come here to bargain.
Oh my god, that is a fucking throwback and a half.
Izza.
All right, well, that's that. We have some Patreon goodies coming out for Movie Dumpster soon. We went back and revisited Frankenstein Unbound, but we examined the novelization, and holy shit. Not only does it sound like a bad book, it sounds like a bewildering book, and it sounds like Roger Corman etched a mountain of gold out of a pile of shit.
Hell yeah.
And then we got Of Unknown Origin coming out, which is Peter Weller's first leading role. It's about him dealing with a rat that invades his apartment. I hated it.
Is in that movie, is there some point where he has like a baseball bat that has a whole bunch of stuff at the end of it, like sharp
yeah.
implements? Okay,
Yeah,
I've seen that movie then.
Yeah, he's like hammering like these really ridiculous looking rat into the baseball bat. So it just got these like fangs and nails. Yeah. And then we have Trash Into the Snow coming up, and we have a bunch of Christmas movies we're gonna do. We are also covering March of the Wooden Soldiers for Thanksgiving. That's our big special thing this year. So I've seen that movie since I was a kid.
It sounds familiar, but I can't remember it. What was it?
Huh? What just happened?
Abbott and Costello, Babes and
Oh, okay. You turned into a robot for a second there.
Mhm. Yeah, it was Annihilation music there.
Yeah.
Don't follow me on social media ever. I'll know it was you.
Mhm.
I wonder how you couldn't.
Yeah, I'll know.
Oh, Arlen, did you not have any plugs?
LHP is kind of in a
Hiatus.
not a hybrid, like a light hiatus.
It's in a cocoon. It's getting ready to blossom.
Yeah.
Yes.
So listen to older episodes if you haven't listened to any of it. There will be, of course, more Bond as things go along. So look for that, but nothing consistent at the moment. So yeah.
I'm Eric Voracek. You can find me at Eric_Fedor on Instagram. There's pictures of dogs and food and cats and comics. I'm also on the Phantom Zone. I'm also going to be slowly going insane as we enter into our second wave, 2.5, whatever the fuck it is, as everything goes back into lockdown. So yay. Also, you lost, get over it. Fuck your feelings. He's your president now. And cry me a fucking river, Snowflake.
Yeah.
Why don't you all run over to Mindspace? Or what are some of the other names for
Parlor?
Yeah, for Parlor. Yeah, Mindspace was the one I really liked the best.
Mindspace.
Yes. But yeah, it's fuck all of you. This is what you get for being assholes.
Yep.
And
I'm
I'd
based-
like to believe I had something to do with Arizona being flipped.
There you go. It's not George Soros. It's Jesse Ventura. That's who you can blame for all of this.
I
deep
I
state.
told the Democrats that they should make sure that they don't win the Senate, but they need to take the presidency.
They should totally let Mitch McConnell win.
Yeah, which fuck's sake. If there was a conspiracy, don't you think Democrats would make sure we also took the Senate and the House?
I would assassinate him if that was the case. I would just like just poison his tea. Just take him off the board. All right, let's get the fuck out of here before we start talking about all that shit.
Oh, you can also find me at young_Kame on Instagram with pictures of Moon Knight and me kneeling down and giving the peace sign and smiling while I'm wearing a Punisher shirt.
Hunter's like,
First of all,
what?
First of all, there's also a picture of me with a nerf and I am laying on my back, and I have it like it's my huge as a stabilizer. That's
No,
like, my leg.
if that was a real gun, it would destroy your testicles
No,
the first time you fire it.
Actually, like advantage position you could possibly have.
No, it's not the most tactically advantageous.
I played hundreds of hours Metal Gear Solid in my life. I know what I'm talking about. All right.
Yep. So if you want to see more about ball torture with rifles, go to young_Kame.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't kink shame.
You don't.
The fuck I don't.
Watch
Bye,
these-
everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
There's a snake Hitler.